Welcome back to The Verse. My name is Nathan Smith, and on this episode, I sit down with my friend Annaleigh Babcock. Annaleigh is a very talented and versatile trumpet player who studies both jazz and classical music at the University of Cincinnati's College Conservatory of Music. I hope you enjoy. Wherever you are watching or listening, make sure to subscribe for more. See you soon. Welcome back to The Verse. My name is Nathan Smith, and I'm here with a very special guest, Annaleigh Babcock. Do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself, about your instrument?
Hi, I'm Annaleigh Babcock. I play the trumpet. I'm from Paula, Iowa, which is a small town in rural Iowa. Many people don't know about it. That's where I went to high school, and I somehow stumbled across the great school of CCM, and now I'm here.
Well, fantastic. I think we'll just get into some questions. You have a solo prepared, yeah?
Yes, I do.
And then at the end, we'll play a fun tune. So just starting off, you want to tell me a little bit about your background in music, maybe just in general as well?
Trumpet's pretty much the only instrument I've ever played, unlike a lot of kids here. I really fell in love with it at my school. We had a great band program, so I just kept practicing. And I actually, not to flex, but I have a practice streak that's been going on since March 20th, 2017. I'm practicing every day. So about 3.5 years now.
Wow, okay.
Sorry, what?
And about how much do you practice every day, would you say?
In high school it was about an hour every day, but here it's closer to 3 or 4.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the life of a performance major.
Uh-huh.
Okay, awesome. So what were you gonna get into and saying?
At my school, I participated in marching band, jazz band, show choir band, and concert band.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then here I am a jazz studies major and a performance major, so I'm a double major.
Okay, so in the life of a double major, what does that kind of look like as opposed to maybe somebody who's just a jazz major or somebody who's just a performance major?
It's a lot of classwork, for sure. And I'm almost doing schoolwork from 8 a.m. when I have to wake up for theory and until I go to bed at like 10:30.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like a pretty busy day then.
Yeah.
So what are some of the jazz classes that differ from some of the maybe classical classes?
I get to take jazz history and jazz improv right now, which are pretty different. And the next year I'll get to take jazz piano too.
Okay, that sounds pretty fun. So what about for classical? What kind of classes does a performance major have that maybe an education major doesn't?
I have classical piano.
Okay.
And they have like just a lot less classes for us to take because we're just supposed to be practicing all day, every day.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Because you said you practice about 3-4 hours a day. That's crazy. That's so much time.
Yeah. And then they have me in 4 ensembles this semester.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about that, like the ensembles you're in?
Yeah, sure. So for the jazz side, I'm in the jazz lab band here, and I get to play lead for that. I'm very thankful for that.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. And then I'm also in a jazz combo, the Blue Note combo, directed by Mark Fields. And then on the classical side, I am in brass choir, which is just brass instruments and percussion, and then in wind ensemble.
Okay, that sounds like a lot to handle, but it seems like you're doing a great job of that so far. So what inspired you, or who inspired you, to be so interested in trumpet and music?
In about 4th grade, I was watching The Incredibles, which was one of my favorite movies for the zillionth time.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, and I was listening to one of the closing songs called The Incredits, and the trumpet player who plays on it is named Wayne Bergeron. And he just plays these crazy high notes, and I'm like, I want to do that. And then, in addition to him, my mom has a friend who plays trumpet in the Air Force Army Band.
Oh, wow.
And so she's been very influential to me and kind of helped prove to me and my mom that there are actually jobs in the music world that's not teaching. So that's been very nice to have, too.
That sounds really cool. So with the in credits, with those high notes, for somebody who, like myself, doesn't play a brass instrument, is that like more difficult? Like, how does that differ from playing a lower note in brass?
Well, considering the fact that I've now been playing my instrument for 8 or 9 years and I still can't play all the notes in the credits, it's very hard. You have to. It's like all about control of your airflow and airstream, but also how you have developed your face muscles to be able to play those notes. Okay,
so it sounds like a lot of work, and it seems like you've mastered a lot of that so far, and maybe that in credits is kind of like a challenge song, a goal song, I guess. Well, that's really fantastic. So who are some of your other musical inspirations other than who played the in credits, some of your maybe favorite musicians and some who you maybe aspire to be like?
Right now I'm really getting into Bill Evans, who's a jazz pianist.
Okay.
And what I like about his playing is that he lets the emotions show through his music a lot. And I feel like when you're playing an instrument that doesn't have words, it's kind of hard to convey emotions a lot of the time, and I think sometimes as musicians we step away from the emotion side. But I want everything I play to have that amount of emotion.
Okay, so, yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and then I also really like Arturo Sandoval as a trumpet player. He's from Cuba, so it's like very Latin-y and stuff. And he also plays crazy high notes and crazy fast notes, and is very interesting and very like sassy.
That's really cool. So are those some of your, what do you say, your favorite musicians right now? Okay, and outside of your musical field of trumpet, whether it's jazz, classical, what kind of music are you listening to right now?
Right now I'm starting to listen to more ragtime piano and country blues, actually. Which both I've learned about through jazz history class, because they were like prep music genres for jazz. So I think it's very interesting to see what elements of jazz have been stolen from those two genres. Okay,
really interesting.
Yeah.
So outside of jazz, you mentioned a lot of jazz and some classical stuff. What are some of your favorite types of music to play? I don't play much, I guess, outside of that, because like those are the kind of music that does cover a lot.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And those are kind of the music genres you can play trumpet on, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. But later on, you learned a nice pop-ish,
I did.
almost a little bit of a jazzier version of a Christmas tune now that the holiday season's coming up. Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to playing that. And so you do have a solo prepared. We'll get into that soon. Just one more question before. What would you say your dream job is as a musician?
I have about 14.
14?
Not gonna lie.
Do you want to walk through all those?
No, I'll just go through a few of them. So one is, my biggest one is probably to play lead trumpet in a professional big band.
Okay.
I don't know. It's kind of like, I mean, there's more to just being the lead trumpet. Like, you have to embody the personality of a lead trumpet and become that attitude. So I work towards that every day.
Okay.
And I would also love to play in the pit orchestra for some Broadway shows.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then I also have this dream. So I really like aquariums, too.
Oh, yeah?
To own a jazz bar that's aquarium themed and call it Sea Jam Blues, but Sea is spelled S-E-A, like the ocean.
Yeah.
And so then there's a bunch of fish inside.
That sounds really awesome. Cool. That sounds really interesting. So one more thing, you brought up musical theater. Have you been in some pit orchestras before?
I've actually been kind of like all over in the musical world. So I've done the pit orchestras, I've been in ensembles, like the dancing ensembles, I've been leads in musicals, so I feel like I've kind of done it all.
So do you sing at all too?
Yeah, in high school I did. I was in choir. I wasn't much of a soloist for that, but I had a lot of fun doing that in show choir. Okay,
well that sounds pretty awesome. So we'll get to your solo here, and do you want to tell me just a little bit about the piece that you've prepared?
So I'm playing Oliver's Birthday, which is a tune that I've been preparing to go back and play with my high school, because I was supposed to play it as a solo with band piece last spring, but then everything got canceled, so we're doing it this winter.
Okay, well that sounds really interesting. So we will set up, and looking forward to it. That was a really awesome piece, Annaleigh, I just gotta say. So, something like that for me, who's more of a vocal listener, somebody who doesn't always listen to more trumpet solos. What kind of advice would you have for more like general music listeners, more like myself, to kind of expand their musical awareness, I guess I would say?
I think a lot of it has to come from attitude and understanding the piece. So when you're trying to learn about a piece, it's so much more than just the notes and rhythms. It's about what the composer was trying to intend with this, what you're trying to intend with this, or what story you're trying to convey, and how you want this to be presented to an audience.
Okay, and you mentioned before with like trying to show the emotion in the piece, and I think you really did a great job of that here. So that was a fantastic piece. Do you have any interesting musical stories, maybe any interesting trumpet stories from your past?
Yeah, okay. So my freshman year of high school, we did a Latin show for marching band.
Okay.
And we ended with Malaguena, and it was a big
Oh, that's a beautiful piece.
So for the ballad, it was all nice and pretty, and it's called Esse Corazon Roto, which means broken heart. And so there's this one moment where we're all facing backfield, and then we turn around and have our big like shout moment of the ballad. And it like makes parents cry, right? Well, during our last performance of it, we turn around and then it starts downpouring as we hit our downbeat.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah, and we keep playing through it, and it's like the most epic thing that's ever happened to me.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Just the crazy Iowa weather, I guess, and timing it right with the music. So you did a bit of marching band in high school, yes?
Yeah.
So do you want to tell me a little bit about your experience? Maybe, are you in the marching band here at UC?
I am not. They don't really encourage kids who are in CCM to do it because it's a big time commitment on both sides.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. So you did marching band in high school. What were some of your, I guess, favorite times from there?
That was my all-time favorite time. Another one of my favorite times is that we were a 3A band, but we'd compete against 4As, and it was always so much fun to go and beat all the 4As. And then my senior year, I had lots of solos in it, and it was really cool to get a stand in front of my band, and like I felt like I was representing the band.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And just absolutely well. It was lots of fun.
That's really cool. So you mentioned competitions. You did a lot of competitions then all throughout high school with marching band?
Yeah, marching band, show choir, and jazz band. We did lots of competitions.
Okay. In my experience, I've had like a few vocal competitions with choirs. Here in Ohio, we have OMEA. Is that similar in Iowa?
Yeah, for jazz band, we have IJC, which is the Iowa Jazz Championships.
Oh, okay.
And so that's my favorite day of the year. And so 15 bands from each division get to go and compete, and then the top 2 bands get to go compete in the night show.
Oh, wow.
And the last year that they had it, which was my junior year, we actually ended up winning our division, which was super cool.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
And so that just sounds like a whole bunch of fun then. Yeah, it just sounds like a whole day of fun. And we had some, I guess I would say more like an afternoon and evening, but that seems like it's so investing, like you're investing so much into it that it seems like getting such a fantastic outcome would be so amazing.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So I do have one last question that I like to ask all my guests at the end of the episode. When you're gone off this earth, what do you want your legacy to be here as a musician?
I try not to actually think about leaving behind a legacy too much because I don't feel like for me it's not that important. But I do really, really care about the jazz education scene among like youth because like high school I came from, we were like one of the best jazz education schools in the state, but there were so many other schools that had like little to no jazz education.
Yeah.
So if I can leave behind anything, it's a much better supported jazz education system across the country.
Well, that's awesome. I think in my experiences, I've seen a little bit of jazz education, but not as much as that we have here at CCM that some colleges offer. Not a lot of high schools seem to offer. So I think that's great of you. Would you like to maybe teach, do some master classes in your time as like a professional?
Another one of my dreams is to have my own studio where kids can come from like whatever city I'm living in and come and get lessons, and also to be in like so there's lots of like youth symphonies, like Metro Youth Symphonies I think we need Metro Youth Jazz Orchestras at,
That would be
at the
awesome.
same level for kids who are above their high school but don't have much where else to go before college.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on The Verse. Do you want to plug any of your maybe social medias, anything that people can reach out to you on if they have any maybe trumpet questions, stuff like that?
The Rubber Ducky Trumpet is my Instagram handle for my practice and trumpet account. So yeah.
Sounds good. I will link that in the description as well, so that way it's easier for our viewers to see. And thank you so much for watching. We're going to wrap this up with This Christmas.